everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, broadcasting from our studio in Edmonton, Canada. It's Monday, March the 1st, 2021. Can you believe it? The beginning of another month. Only about 3 weeks away from the first day of spring. Oh, I want to say goodbye to winter. And a good Tuesday morning to our viewers in the Philippines. In the news, we have updates from several of our correspondents from across North and Central America. May Davila in Ciudad de Panama tells us that schools there will hold their first quarter classes virtually. We'll also hear from Mayan Manzano Gerzan in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Governor Murphy announces expansion of eligibility for New Jersey's COVID-19 vaccination program.
Arlene Ocampo in Fort Washington, Maryland, will report on schools in Prince George County getting some help with the reopening from the Church of Christ. Don Omar Cuevas in Little Rock, Arkansas, will update us on the school's vaccination rollout, as well as report on a school shooting in Jefferson County. Anna Cui in Las Vegas, Nevada, reports that the Clark County School District will use a hybrid instructional model for kindergarten to grade 3 students. We'll hear from Eliza Gonzalez-Manglicmot in Washington, D.C.
The nation's first federal tobacco education campaign celebrates its 10th year and launches new quit smoking ads.
Kenny Samagi will have EBC Sports for us, plus tonight's roundtable, National Old Stuff Day. Let's find out how letting go of old things will help us reinvent ourselves with the new. Our coverage begins now. March 1st, it was 1 year ago today that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo confirmed the state's first known case of coronavirus. New York, as you would recall, would become the epicenter of the pandemic in those early days. There was no treatment, no vaccine, and for many, no hope in fighting this invisible enemy, COVID-19. This is what hospitals looked like as the virus ravaged the country. 12 months later, hope has returned. The United States has approved 3 vaccines now to protect against the virus. The latest weapon in the arsenal is the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It was approved this past Saturday. So far, 65 million people in America have been immunized, but there's a long way to go. The pandemic not under control. Millions more need to be vaccinated. We take a look now at a neighborhood in New York City. It's in the borough of Queens. It's called Corona. People who live here are mostly Hispanic, and they're still trying to recover. A year ago, the scene was one of ambulances coming and going day and night, transporting COVID-19 patients to hospitals. Corona residents, Aurora Morales, is the coordinator of a church-run food pantry. It helps people who can't afford to put a meal on the table. But Morales says the economic situation remains dire.
The situation hasn't improved much. We have hopes that now with the opening of the restaurants, many of these people will go back to their jobs. Many have said that the restaurant that they used to work is closed, out of business, or the stores where they used to work is out of business. So I don't know exactly when the situation is really going to improve.
And then there's the challenge of prevention. Not only public health measures, but vaccines. Here in Corona, Morales says for many, immunization is out of reach.
Vaccination rate in Queens is very low, and in Corona is like lower. And a lot has to do with the access. Because if it's available, people will take advantage of it. Like now it's available, the COVID test, but we need to have more access to the vaccine for these families, for everyone, soon.
1 year has passed. Times are still scary for the people living in the central Queens neighborhood of Corona. Let's look at the COVID-19 numbers now provided by the Coronavirus Resource Institute of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. As of 6 p.m. today, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide now more than 114,400,000 229,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: United States, 28.6 million. India, 11.1 million. Brazil, 10.5 million. And sadly, more than 2,533,000 lives worldwide have been lost to this virus. The top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the United States, more than 513,000. Brazil, more than 254,000. And in Mexico, the infection has claimed more than 185,000 lives. Well, what's the latest from the World Health Organization? The numbers of new cases are going down. We've got vaccines. But Michael Ryan, the WHO Director of Emergencies, says it's not over yet.
I think it will be very premature and I think unrealistic to think that we're going to finish with this virus by the end of the year. But I think what we can, if we're smart, finish with is the hospitalizations and the deaths and the tragedy associated with this pandemic.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the WHO wants to see healthcare workers in every country vaccinated within the first 100 days of this year. We've only got 40 days to go. And Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus expressed his frustration about the inequality of immunization worldwide.
It's encouraging to see health workers in lower-income countries starting to be vaccinated. But it's regrettable that this comes almost 3 months after some of the wealthiest countries started their vaccination campaigns. And it's regrettable that some countries continue to prioritize vaccinating younger, healthier adults at lower risk of disease in their own populations ahead of health workers and older people elsewhere.
American politics now. The Conservative Political Action Conference has finished meeting in Florida. The wrap-up was yesterday. Former President Donald Trump addressed the crowd, and Trump hinted he might take another run at the presidency in 2024. Otherwise, as you can hear in this excerpt of his speech, nothing much new from what he has previously said.
Actually, as you know, they just lost the White House, but it's one of those things. But who knows? Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Beat them for a third time.
Trump told delegates he's the future of the Republican Party. Throughout Asia, protests in several countries over the weekend. In Myanmar, at least 18 people died on Sunday as the military continued its crackdown against relentless democracy protests. Troops and police fired live bullets and tear gas at demonstrators in cities across the country. Protests have continued almost non-stop since a military coup a month ago. The military has justified its takeover by making unfounded allegations of widespread fraud in last November's national elections. Aung San Suu Kyi, National League democracy leader, won the election in a landslide. In Thailand, police shot rubber bullets and used water cannons and tear gas against pro-democracy protesters in Bangkok. Demonstrators rallying outside a military barracks where the Prime Minister lives. Protesters have been calling for the resignation of the government. That movement lost steam following a second wave of COVID-19 in Thailand. But the recent detention of 4 prominent protest leaders on royal defamation charges has given it a shot in the arm. An estimated 2,000 people took part in Sunday's protest. And in Hong Kong, a more peaceful rally. Hundreds of democracy supporters gathered outside a Hong Kong courthouse today. They chanted slogans and flashed protest symbols as some of the city's best-known dissidents were expected to appear in court on subversion charges. The environmental file now: a gigantic iceberg has broken off the Antarctic ice shelf near a British research station. This thing is huge. 1,270 square kilometers, 490 square miles. You know, That's almost the size of the city of London. A crack in the ice, widened by several hundred meters last Friday before the ice broke off completely. You can see it here in these aerial shots on the screen. The British Antarctic Survey says the iceberg broke away in a process that's called calving. Now, this came almost a decade after scientists first saw the massive cracks that had formed in the shelf. Icebergs naturally break off from Antarctica in a process accelerated by climate change, but the research group says in this case, there's no evidence that climate change played a significant role. Up next, we have stories from Ciudad de Panama, Sicklerville, New Jersey, and Fort Washington, Maryland. This is Eagle News America.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Samahan sina Wedge Kujamat,
Itong balitang panggising sa ulo ng mga balita.
Apo David,
Sa 60 katao ang isinugod sa ospital.
TV Publico
Economic sabotage ang mga tiwaling negosyante.
at Cristel Fesalbon
Pagpresyo ng gulay, makakausap natin
para iatid sa inyo ang mga kaganapan at pangyayari sa bansa at sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Mga napapanahong isyu ng bayan. May balitang sports, entertainment at iba pang kaalaman. Simula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 5 ng umaga sa paborito niyong morning show, Pambansang Almusal, dito sa Net 25.
Pambansang Almusal.
Watching Eagle News America, I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Well, the school bell will soon be ringing in the Central American country of Panama. And as Eagle News correspondent May Davila tells us, classes in the first quarter will be held virtually.
This Monday, at least 895,000 students began the first quarter of this school year remotely. 145,000 of this attend private schools. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect the usual development of classes in the country since the state of health emergency was declared in March 2020. For the 2021 school period, the Ministerio de Educación or MEDUCA specifies that the first quarter of the year will be carried out remotely. For primary students, part of their classes will be watching the lessons on the television program Conectate con la Estrella, prepared by MEDUCA. Each grade level will have an allotted time each day for their corresponding subject topics that will be aired in the different local television channels partnering with MEDUCA. Virtual classes will be held daily through Zoom meetings. For students in the secondary level, the ESTER platform will continue to be used. Daily virtual classes will still be through Microsoft Teams. Students can access this through the email account assigned to them from MEDUCA after registering to the ESTER platform. All assignments, quizzes, examinations, and projects are within the said application. The application automatically checks and grades them. Meduca announced that the method for the second and third trimester classes will be determined later depending on the situation of the virus. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News, vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
The state of New Jersey is expanding its vaccination rollout, making more people eligible for the shot. Mayan Manzano-Gerzon joins us live now from Sicklerville to tell us about that. Mayan, good evening.
Good evening, Tom, and thank you. In an update released by the Office of the Governor of New Jersey, Governor Murphy today announced the expansion of eligibility for more frontline essential workers and high-risk groups in New Jersey's COVID-19 vaccination program. Eligible groups include educators and staff in pre-K through 12th grade settings, childcare workers, and transportation workers, among others. In the COVID briefing, Governor Murphy said that the administration has built the infrastructure, including nearly 300 vaccination sites across the state, needed to support New Jersey's COVID-19 vaccination demand. And as the federal government continues to make more vaccine doses available, he said that they are confident in their ability to expand the vaccination program to reach more of our essential workers and vulnerable populations. He said that the goal is to provide every New Jerseyan with a vaccine when it is available and they are eligible. Moreover, New Jersey Department of Health Commissioner Judith Percy Kelly said that as vaccine supply increases, this phased expansion of new eligibility groups keeps New Jersey moving forward toward our goal of vaccinating 70% of the eligible adult population. Beginning Monday, March 15, the following categories are eligible for vaccination. Educators, including support staff in pre-K through 12th grade settings, childcare workers in licensed and registered settings, public and local transportation workers, including bus, taxi, rideshare, and airport employees, NJ Transit workers, and motor vehicle commission staff. Public safety workers who are not sworn law enforcement or fire professionals, including probation officers and fire safety inspectors. Migrant farm workers, members of the tribal communities, and individuals experiencing homelessness, and those living in shelters, including domestic violence shelters. Additionally, beginning on Monday, March 29, frontline essential workers in the following categories are also eligible for vaccination: food production, agriculture and food distribution, elder care and support, warehousing and logistics, social service support staff, elections personnel, hospitality, medical supply chain, postal and shipping services, clergy, and judicial system. Additionally, the eligibility list will indicate that all individuals ages 16 to 64 with certain medical conditions as defined by the CDC that increase the risk or might increase the risk of severe illness from the virus are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccination. For more information about eligibility, statewide vaccination site locations, and to pre-register for a vaccination, visit covid19.nj.gov/vaccine. And Tom, for New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 2,668 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 704,362. Sadly, we are also reporting 21 confirmed deaths, pushing the total to 20,942 fatalities. But on the brighter side, the latest total of COVID-19 vaccinations already administered here in New Jersey is now 2,039,427. And for a quick weather update, Thomas, it's currently 8:58 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently clear. It is 36 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano-Gerzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
And you know, with this big announcement, especially for educators there in New Jersey, how is this going to affect the current situation in schools?
Well, Thomas, let me first give you an update on our schools. So of the New Jersey's 811 public school districts, 533 have hybrid instruction. So there are currently 142 districts with all remote learning and 27 districts with a mix of in-person, hybrid, and remote learning. So with this big announcement, like you said, Tom, Governor Murphy said that they are fully expecting schools across New Jersey to have in-person learning safely and responsibly when the next academic year starts in September, if not sooner. Thomas?
And, with more residents also eligible to make appointments for vaccines, how is the COVID vaccine hotline managing the demand?
Oh, good question, Tom. Well, officials stress that supply will continue to be short, Thomas, in the immediate future. So not everyone who become eligible that we have just enumerated in the report will be able to book an appointment immediately on the COVID vaccine hotline. However, the Governor Murphy said that the administration is actively conducting outreach over the phone and scheduling appointments for the residents 75 and older who may some lack the computer skills to do so. And also the state is increasing allocation to mega sites specifically for the seniors as they remain the top priority of COVID vaccination. Thomas?
I just have one other question. Have you moved up any closer to the top of the list, Mayanne?
Well, Thomas, I do not get, unfortunately, a constant update from the hotline, but they sent me an email last week that they received my appointment request, and it will be scheduled soon, and I will receive an update sooner. Thomas?
I think a lot of people are getting that answer no matter where they live. Don't call us, we'll call you. Thank you for joining us tonight, and please take care.
Thank you, Tom. You too.
We go to Maryland now, where classes are set to resume in Prince George County, and the county is getting some help preparing those classrooms from the Church of Christ. EBC's Arlene Ocampo has that story.
In anticipation of Prince George's County or PG County Public School District reopening, faculty and staff members are preparing their classrooms and the many items that are needed by the school system to ensure an environment conducive to learning and promote health safety to everyone who enters the school buildings. The Church of Christ, or Iglesia Ni Cristo, as part of their Aid to Humanity campaign, reached out to 4 local schools to offer assistance in the forthcoming school reopening. Majority, if not all, school workers have been teleworking or simply lost their job, and students have been on virtual learning ever since restrictions were implemented because of the pandemic that has caused over 500,000 fatalities here in the United States. With the reopening plan here in Prince George's County, parents were given the option to have their children continue with virtual learning for the rest of the school year or participate in hybrid learning. Hybrid learning consists of 2 days in the school building and 3 days virtually. Schools are expected to reopen on April 8th with Phase 1. This will include the special ed students, kindergarten through 12th grade, pre-K students through 6th grade, and the 12th graders. Phase 2 will commence on April 15th. This will consist of the remaining 7th through 11th graders. The Church of Christ, or Iglesia Ni Cristo, in anticipation of the school reopening, donated personal protective equipment such as face masks, hand sanitizers, disinfecting wipes, as well as school supplies. At one of the schools, as items were being dropped off, the principal mentioned that she was just in a meeting where they were discussing how and where they can obtain certain items. The school principal expressed gratitude to the Church of Christ for the very timely donation. Despite the uncertainties that surround us, giving when one possibly can is what the Church of Christ, Iglesia Ni Cristo, teaches and practices, not just now, but in many past instances. Pandemic or not, this promotes not only a sense of caring and love in the community, which is what we need in these difficult times. In Fort Washington, Maryland, Arlene Ocampo, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Still to come, we have stories from Little Rock, Arkansas, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Washington, D.C. This is Eagle News America.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas! A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Watching Eagle News America, I'm Thomas I. Likeness. In Arkansas, the state's vaccination program is progressing. With that story, as well as an update on a school shooting in Jefferson County, EBC's Don Omar Cuevas.
Thanks for having me, Thomas, and hello from Little Rock, Arkansas. The snow's gone, and the weather in Arkansas is looking a lot less cold now, albeit a bit rainy. As of the 1st of March, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the state are at over 320,000, with about 4,400 total active cases and over 5,000 deaths. We're currently in Phase 1B of the vaccination distribution plan, which includes Arkansans aged 65 and above, as well as educational workers. Almost 1 million vaccines have been received by hospitals and pharmacies, but only about 630,000 doses have been given to Arkansans. Governor Asa Hutchinson stated on Twitter that there are plans to increase the doses given once Arkansas receives the first shipment of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccines. The Arkansas Department of Health has stated on their website that there won't be enough vaccines for everyone at first, but every week they get additional supply. The department plans to work towards making it available as quickly as possible. Earlier today, a shooting occurred at Watson Chapel Junior High School in Pine Bluff. In the event of the shooting, the Watson Chapel School District was put into lockdown, and officers from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and the Pine Bluff Police Department arrived at the school to control the situation. There was only one victim of the shooting, a 15-year-old boy who ended up in serious condition. He was sent to a children's hospital in Little Rock, but unfortunately, he lost his life. In a press release from Governor Hutchinson, he issued a statement in response to the death of the victim of the shooting. "My heart broke when I learned that the victim of this shooting had died," Governor Hutchinson said today. "This terrible act of violence has deprived a young man of his future and his parents of their dreams for their son. I encourage you to comfort your children in the coming days as we try to make sense of this. As always, I hope you're staying as safe as you can be. My heart goes out to the family of the victim from Watson Chapel." In Little Rock, Arkansas, Don Omar Cuevas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
It's been 10 years since the U.S. government launched its first nationwide tobacco education campaign. You know, a lot has changed since then. fewer people are smoking or using other tobacco products. BC's Eliza Gonzalez-Manglicmot joins us now to tell us about the changes in the last decade. Thanks for joining us, Eliza. A lot of things have changed, haven't they?
That's right, Thomas. Good Monday evening to you, and a good Tuesday morning to our viewers on the other side of the globe. Thomas, the Tips from Former Smokers, or TIPS campaign by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, enters its 10th year today with new ads encouraging people who smoke to quit. This Quit Smoking campaign is the nation's first federally funded tobacco education campaign. The CDC says it has helped more than 1 million U.S. adults to quit smoking and inspired millions more to try to quit. This year's TIPS campaign features ads that will air on national and cable television, online, and streaming radio. Coincidentally, CDC is also releasing a special supplement in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, which underscores the role of tobacco quit lines. It addresses how quit lines reach, adapt, tailor, and innovate to serve more than 10 million Americans since 2004. According to CDC, research shows that emotionally evocative, evidence-based campaigns like TIPS raise awareness about the dangers of smoking and help people who smoke to quit. These campaigns are even more effective when coupled with quit lines, providing free, confidential support services to help people quit smoking. The CDC says each year, when the TIPS campaign is aired, there is an immediate and marked spike in calls to 1-800-QUIT-NOW and in visits to the campaign website. Director Rochelle P. Walensky says CDC's long-standing effort to end tobacco use continues to be a public health priority, and the center remains determined to reduce the number of deaths and prevent chronic diseases that result from tobacco use. Existing ads will still run. These ads highlight a variety of health conditions, including participants who smoked and have COPD, emphasizing the fact that smoking can cause lung illnesses and make them worse. Aside from what it does to people's lives, cigarette smoking also has a significant impact on the U.S. economy. Research shows smoking costs more than $300 billion a year, including nearly $170 billion in direct medical care for adults and more than $156 billion in lost productivity. Mass reach health education campaigns like TIPS help people quit smoking, improve their health, and reduce healthcare spending. A recently published study shows that from 2012 to 2018, the TIPS campaign has helped prevent an estimated 129,000 early deaths and helped save an estimated $7.3 billion in smoking-related healthcare costs. Now, every $3,800 spent on the TIPS campaign between 2012 to 2018 has prevented an early death. It is said that cigarette smoking remains the single largest cause of preventable disease and death in the United States, killing more than 480,000 Americans each year. Now, research shows that for every American who dies from a smoking-related disease, about 30 more suffer at least one serious illness from smoking. The CDC says adverse effects of smoking are clear and well documented, and smoking harms nearly every organ in the human body and increases the risk of more severe illness from COVID-19. Now, for some weather update, it is now 45 degrees Fahrenheit or 7 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez-Manglicmot, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Eliza, you know, the TIPS campaign shares stories of people about their smoking-related diseases, the disabilities that have developed, and how these conditions have taken a toll on them and their loved ones. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, Thomas, you said it right. These are compelling stories of people with smoking-related diseases and disabilities that have negatively impacted not only these individuals who smoke, but also their loved ones. Now, most of these loved ones, they end up being the caregivers. Now, here's a glimpse of a few of these stories. What you see now is 49-year-old Tanya, who suffered from heart failure at age 38. She had open heart surgery and had a battery-operated heart pump installed. Now, the next one, she's 66-year-old Denise. She cares for her husband, Brian. He's 65, who is suffering from heart disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, and lung cancer, all caused by smoking. Now, this one is 25-year-old Assad. He is a caregiver for his mother, Leah. She is 52, who now suffers from colorectal cancer due to smoking. Now, CDC says quitting smoking is beneficial at any age. For more information on the TIPS campaign and more profiles of former smokers, other campaign resources, and links to the ads, visit cdc.gov/tips.
You know, it's taken a long time to get to where we are today, Eliza. I remember the days of, back when I used to attend the Radio Television News Directors Association's conventions back in the 1980s. There was a fellow by the name of Walker Merriman. Now, Walker is a former news guy who became the public relations guy for the Tobacco Institute. He'd go to every convention, and of course he's glad-handing and sarcastically ridiculing the research that smoking was harmful to your health. You know, there's just no evidence of this at all in his mind. But ironically, while he was testifying on behalf of tobacco companies during the lawsuit, when they were being sued, he himself had kicked the habit because he'd suffered a heart attack. And his doctors told him, you got to quit, Walker. You got to quit. Times have really changed.
They have changed, and thank goodness for these ad campaigns and for research.
and when people see that right in front of their face, some of the stories that you presented there, hopefully it hits home that this stuff is really damaging to you.
That's true.
But it's truly, they tell me it's more addictive than heroin. Nicotine is very, very difficult to quit. Thanks for joining us tonight, Eliza, and stay safe.
You too, Thomas.
In Clark County, Nevada, the school district has implemented a hybrid instructional system for students in kindergarten to grade 3. Eagle News correspondent Anna Cui joins us now from Las Vegas. Anna, what are the details of the county's plans?
Yes, Thomas. As you probably know, President Biden wanted most schools to reopen in his first 100 days in office, right? And so we're definitely seeing that happening across the country, including here in Nevada, finally. All pre-kindergarten through grade 3 students here in Clark County started face-to-face instruction under the hybrid instructional model today, Monday, March 1. And then CCSD announced last week, Thursday, during a press conference, the timeline for the rest of the students to return to face-to-face instruction. So starting March 22, grades 6, 9, and 12 will go back to face-to-face under the hybrid model as well. And then April 6, grades 7, 8, 10, and 11 will go back to face-to-face hybrid instruction model. And then also on April 6, all pre-kindergarten through grade 5 will return to 5 days a week for face-to-face instruction. So lots happening there. This has been a very challenging process for CCSD, Clark County School District. As we reported previously, they've tried, the Board of School Trustees have made several attempts to vote on this matter in 2020. And, still the safety and well-being of students and staff still remains a top priority here, Thomas. There are concerns with the variants of the COVID-19 virus that's being reported here in the county. And of course, this is making some parents very nervous and hesitant in sending their children back to school. So, I looked into what's being done to reassure these parents, not just the parents, but teachers and students about all these concerns. Well, Friday, the Nevada Health Response Center highlighted support provided by the Nevada Department of Education, along with the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health. And other state agencies are actually collaborating to ensure that Nevada students and educators can go back to in-person education as safely as possible. So this is outlined in the COVID-19 Recovery and Response Report provided by the State of Nevada Education, and includes some of the response efforts since actually the start of the pandemic. So I just want to mention some key highlights here, Thomas, because that report is pretty lengthy. So one, as of February 2021, the Nevada Division of Emergency Management has provided over 4.5 million items of PPE, personal protective equipment, to all schools throughout Nevada. That includes public, private, charter, and even tribal schools. And to date, every educator in every county school district in the state has either received their first dose of the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, or their second dose. Either they've been scheduled or has had the opportunity to access vaccination under this priority group. I did try to look for data on just how many of them has been vaccinated. I will follow up on that. I was not able to get that information to, as of the time of this report. Now, the Division of Public and Behavioral Health also provided critical funding for additional staff to do some disease investigation. And this is to support not only Clark County School District, but also the Southern Nevada Health District. They are saying that they will be, hiring, or they will be providing 150 staff to support CCSD by mid-March. So that's coming around the corner. Nevada also was one of only 5 states awarded federal funding through the U.S. Department of Education's school-based mental health services grant program. So that's very good news, because as we've been hearing, mental health issues among the school-age children is really a lot of problems, not only here in Nevada. So the funding will increase students' access to qualified mental health service professionals. And lastly, the Division of Public and Behavioral Health has been collaborating with the Nevada Department of Education on what they're calling BINACS Now Rapid Test Program. They want to roll that out and distribute to all interested public, charter, and private schools, regardless of their model for in-person or virtual instruction. In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Anna, there's a whole lot of facets to going to school. Classrooms are only part of it. What about some of the extra activities? And I'm thinking of sports here. Are they going to be able to resume sports in school?
Yes, so part of that press conference from the Clark County School District had, they did report that spring sports will start April 3. Their practices will start that. And then April 15, they will actually start competition. So some of the sports will be soccer, volleyball, even football, Thomas. That's gonna start.
What kind of reaction are you hearing from the community about sending kids back now? Do they think it's safe? Do they think it's a wise idea?
Well, I did reach out to a couple of parents and also a couple of teachers. And one of the teachers I know, she teaches 3rd grade, and she opted in for cohort B, I believe, where she's teaching in person Thursday and Friday, and then Monday through Wednesday she is staying home. If it was up to her completely, she would rather stay home with her kids. Although she did opt in for her children. She has 3 kids that are school age. She wanted them to stay home online, still continue 100% with distance education. And she did say today, being the first day of school, there's been a change with the students that are opted in to stay with the online education. She noticed that her 3rd grader, her son's class, went from 19 students to 32. So there's still a lot of details to be ironed out with the schedule, Thomas.
It's a different world out there, and for some, still pretty scary. Thanks for joining us, Anna, and stay safe.
Thank you, Thomas.
Up next, ABC Sports and tonight's virtual roundtable. It's about National Old Stuff Day. Are they talking about me? No, they're talking about letting go of the old and reinventing ourselves. You're watching Eagle News America.
Konti Tibayan mo ang puso. Ikaw na ang siyang hanap-hanap kay tagang na ako'y nangarap. Lumuluhod.
Hi, this is Princess Velasco. Enjoy your weekend with letters and music. Mag-sound trip and chill every Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m. on Net25.
Ikaw na ang siyang magbabago sa aking buhay. Handang iwanan ang lahat.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Jeremy Lin has been in the news lately. He's been putting up some impressive numbers in the NBA G League. But aside from that, he's speaking up against racism toward Asian Americans. Racism that he says he's experienced on the court. Penny Samagi has that story.
Jeremy Lin returned to the court for the Santa Cruz Warriors Sunday night and finished with 25 points in 33 minutes to give the Sea-Dubs their 8th straight victory.
Couldn't get the pop that I needed, and then towards the second half, everything slowed down for me. I was able to kind of catch my second wind and feel better there. That's kind of how it always is in the first game back, but the second one I'll feel much better. And then in terms of just being out there with the guys, just being able to go to battle and just to see and I mean, Selin played so amazing after not playing for a while. Isaiah Reese came in and was a huge game changer, had 8 rebounds. Nate came in, double-double, 13 rebounds. I mean, it was just a scrappy game. So to be able to be out there and to be able to scrap with my teammates, it was just amazing.
Since the pandemic, Asian Americans have rampantly been attacked with racial slurs and actions. Lin posted on his social media on Thursday that he was called, quote, coronavirus, end quote, on the court.
Basically, just there's a lot of Asian American violence. There's hate crimes, people getting stabbed with butcher knives and other stuff. And so there's just a lot of that going on, which I was just trying to bring some awareness to. I think it's gone up at times like 1,900%. And in certain areas, and then there's 1 in 4 Asian Americans have experienced some type of anti-hate since the pandemic started. 1 in 4, that's a lot. And so that's just something that is near and dear, obviously, to my heart, but something that again is not just about one group. It's how can we address this holistically as well. And so, but that is one portion of it which I was bringing to light.
Offering his support is Golden State head coach Steve Kerr.
applaud Jeremy for his words and echo his sentiments regarding racism against the Asian American community. It's just so ridiculous, and obviously, spawned by many people, including our former president, as it relates to the coronavirus originating in China, and it's just shocking. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around any of it. But I can't wrap my head around racism in general. I mean, we're all just flesh and blood. We're all just people.
The G League is currently investigating the matter. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
And now our virtual roundtable is National Old Stuff Day, generally observed on March the 2nd, which it is in the Philippines, and we'll be here in a few hours. I think this is a day that Marie Kondo could love. Kondo, as you know, is that organizing consultant who tells us to get rid of stuff if it's not sparking joy. Keep life to a minimum. But National Old Stuff Day goes beyond that. It's a day to do things differently. There's no limit into how you can change up your day, Take a moment to recognize the things you do each day. Is there a better, a more efficient way of doing it? Maybe change the way you go to work, the route you take. Maybe it's just a way to brighten your day or someone else's. Whatever it is, strive to make the day new, not the same old it was yesterday. Approach the day with a new attitude. What are some other suggestions? Use an old item for new use. Look at things with a new perspective. Throw out all you know about something and relearn it all anew. Take something old, fix it up. Order small instead of large. Maybe I'll do that with the coffee. Anyway, we're going to go around our table and ask our esteemed panelists how they plan to reinvent themselves tomorrow. Anna, you're up. Number one, how are you going to celebrate National Old Stuff Day?
Hey, Thomas, you mentioned Marie Kondo, and I tried that. And it worked for, I'd say, a couple of days, and then it was just too much. It was too much, so I gave up on that.
Marie didn't spark joy with you?
It's hard. It's hard to throw out, things. I purged my closet a few times already. But with me, I want to throw out poor eating habits, and as we talked about previously too, about juicing vegetables. So out with poor eating habits and in with trying to eat healthier. So juicing vegetables would be the new thing for me, Thomas.
Okay. Mayan, what's the new Mayan going to be all about?
Well, Thomas, you mentioned all the good things about purging things already, but my two most effective ways in purging things or throwing out old stuff is that I always think of the cost of holding onto things. So one is that I always think that it takes up physical space in my house. And number two, it takes up head space because I'm thinking it would oblige me to think where to store it, how to take care of it, and when it's time to move again, Tom, how to pack all of these things. So those are my two reasons or two ways that I always think of that's making purging easy. So one thing in my lifestyle, I guess, that I want to throw out is that unintentional buying, like when you just want things because you saw it on someone and it looks good on someone and you just imagine yourself, maybe it will look good on me too, but the thing is you don't need it. So I want to be more intentional, Tom, and to just buy things that I really need. Thomas?
So no more impulse buying. What about you, Eliza? Are you going to remake yourself entirely?
Well, growing up, Thomas, Anna, and May, and it would always make me happy to receive hand-me-downs from my sister. And I didn't really mind using pre-loved clothes or shoes or accessories. And I think I developed that habit of recycling stuff too, and would ask my very close friends when I was younger if they liked some of my clothes or if they would like to swap clothes with mine. And now, with two 18-year-old daughters, we all wear the same size of clothing. And so our clothes never grow old because we take turns wearing them. So if I get tired with one, the other, one daughter would like it, or the other one would like it. Even footwear, our shoe sizes are exactly the same, all three of us. So we make really good use of what we have. But for stuff that we really have to let go, or we have no use for, we occasionally go to the thrift store to donate them, so other people to find them useful and love them as well. But talking about reinventing myself, I am giving up on plants. This summer, I have spent so much money buying plants, and believe me, even what do you call these plants? These succulents, they die on me. So my daughter said, "Mom, it's time to let go."
Well, one thing I'm going to let go of right now is my age. I'm just going to lie about my age. Tell people I'm 35. That's how I'm going to reinvent myself. But here's something that never grows old. Our nightly salute to all of you out there on the front lines. And, I'm talking about our healthcare workers, first responders, essential workers of all types. Let's recognize them, gang, with a round of applause. That's tonight's Eagle News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, and truly, we live in interesting times.
May sakit na lumalaganap, lunas di pa nahahanap. May paraan para wag kumalat, kaalaman ay ipamalas. Pag-aralan o dali